Good morning. Busy season with a skeleton crew and loss prevention. Oh, what fun. But regardless, something, because people have been asking me, it's come to the surface for INFJs, is our innate ability to not show emotion when we don't want to. Now, that's not the same as not feeling emotion. It's the ability to not show what we're feeling, because INFJ emotions are very, very intense and would overwhelm most people. I have tested that. It's a witchcraft thing. Non-INFJ empaths have been able to feel my emotions and it overwhelmed them. So we do have that innate ability. It links to our trust issues, how we don't open up to that many people. So we don't want people to read us because we read other people so well and see things and times see things that they would rather not us see, but nonetheless we do. And sometimes they try to convince us to not trust our own intuitive thoughts, and that never ends well. Just never does. Ever. So don't ever not trust your, intuitive thoughts on the matter. Dealing with somebody, no matter what they say, will try to convince you otherwise, but they'll simply be playing a character. Some people have a natural ability to do that. But with repressing, or not repressing our emotions, with repressing, displaying our emotions, does kind of come with its own little side effect, because when we do it, what do we display most of the time? We think it's a completely blank stare, but it often projects as sort of a resting bitch face. How many INFJs have been asked what's wrong? Simply when you're locked in your head, you're not repressing, showing any emotions towards anything or anyone in your current vicinity, but you're thinking of something intensely and you're so deep in your own head, you're not even aware of what's going on around you or what facial expressions, if any, you're giving. Yeah, it's been happening to me a lot again lately. Been thinking a lot, more than normal for an INFJ, which is a lot, but a lot more so. Got it? And it can be tough for people to understand, because there's times where we just don't want to talk about it. There's a couple people I've noticed that are the same. Well, one person who's the same. There's going to be an INFJ stare off eventually. But regardless, it's for another video. Yes, I've encountered another one of my kind. No, I'm not going to get into that right now. But it's strange. People will push us to display some sort of emotional reaction, but it's like, you wouldn't understand even if I told you, especially if it's people you haven't known very long. For them to understand would require quite a bit of backstory to give context, and also, they wouldn't understand the people involved, or in my case, and a lot of people on this channel, if the people asking you what's bothering you and it has to do with a narcissist or a borderline, and they've never truly encountered one and seen them at their worst, they don't understand that either. So it's like, keep it in. So you could, yeah, fine. How we just mutter and go through, constantly looking around, constantly feeling the emotions of others in a crowded space all day. It's exhausting. I get home from work, I am completely, like, mentally drained. Strange path I walk. I'll get into it in later videos. So it can be very much a struggle for us to be around acquaintances constantly, people we have nothing against, but also people we can't have deep conversations with, and we're constantly thrusted into surface level conversations. Draining, so draining, so draining, or trivial, emotional responses that most sensors have. It's like, I don't have the energy to try to fake it. I just don't. So we'll be, either lost in our own world or completely emotionless, appearing. Not that we're not feeling emotions, we're just not letting people know what we are displaying. And because INFJ emotions are so intense, we are afraid to let people know what we actually feel because, well, every INFJ's had that used against them at some point in time. So it's like, no, letting you inside wrong. You're going to mess with me. No. If I don't show a response, you can't use it against me. It's a defensive mechanism in that regard. If you appear to be stoic and emotionless, they don't know what buttons they're pushing, if any. They don't know if they even can trigger you. You can sort of appear to be this cold, unfeeling Vulcan. They are often described as aliens, so you never know. But it is challenging, especially because odds are, in a workplace setting especially, or a school setting, not so much university because in tens of thousands of people, but in a workplace setting, you'll most likely be the only INFJ. Being the only one, there's nobody truly like you, and therefore no one else truly to understand. So it is a challenge we face. It is a challenge dealing with the intense INFJ emotions and dealing with who we are comfortable enough to display what we are actually feeling. Other than INFJ rage, when that comes, there's no stopping it. It's a force of nature. But totally different video on that, which I've already done. So I hope this was helpful, INFJs. My wording, of course, wasn't the best, as it's not for any of our kind, but just know that if you're dealing with the same thing, that, it's something we all go through, and no, you're not alone.